It is indeed a beautiful new week, and I'm delighted to welcome you to Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. I am Sarah Owuswanta, and this morning we'll be having conversations surrounding major happenings on the front pages of the dailies. Over the weekend, we had reports majorly on the celebration of Democracy Day in Nigeria, which was on Saturday, the 12th of June, 2021. And that particular day, garnered a lot of talks, a lot of criticisms, especially following the speech given by the president of the country in person of Muhammadu Buhari. That's a conversation we'll look into. It was also, surrounding the fact that there were talks of protest that was going to hold specifically in some parts of Lagos State and Abuja. Also, the conversation on restructuring and ban on open grazing came into limelight again as the president of the country, Muhammadu Buhari, has asked the AGF, Malami, to produce the gazette that was used in the First Republic in regards to the issue of open grazing, stating the fact that, he supports open grazing and the southern governors have stood their ground, insisting that the ban on open grazing still stands. We have reports also surrounding kidnapping and abduction in Niger State, which is, making rounds again. We know insecurity has been thriving in the country for quite a while now, and despite efforts being made by the government to address these issues, it seems to be coming back to the forefront. All of these are conversations we'll look into on the pages of the Nigerian papers this morning. Continue the conversation this morning. I have a public affairs commentator in person of Henry Shofowora. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Happy Democracy Day.
Happy Democracy Day. It's good to have you join us on the newspaper review this morning. So, talking about Democracy Day, it was celebrated on the 12th of June, which was on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And, there were talks about protests coming up, which there were reports how the police allegedly fired tear gas to disperse protesters in Lagos and also in Abuja. And a lot of Nigerians have reacted to this, saying that even shows that the country as a whole is not a democratic nation. I'd like to have your opinion on that.
Well, I don't think people are far from the fact, from the truth or the fact that we can't really say we are democratic. First and foremost, we were expecting things like this, that it will show us or be a pointer to tell us if we have learned something from what happened concerning the NSAS protest. But unfortunately, what do we see? Another arrest. We're expecting that people should have the institutions that is responsible for protecting peace and security will have used the lessons from the NSAS to know that they are there to support people who want to protest lawfully, to guide them, to support them, to see that the things were peaceful, to have looked at the lessons through those periods. So from the few things that we saw on June 12 protests, especially in the Southwest, you realize that there is no lesson learned yet. Few people were still arrested and they were released, with some people calling that fact that we have to come to a situation whereby the institutions of government must realize that if we have done wrong, they can just apologize to those people to say that we're sorry, we shouldn't have arrested you. And somebody's already calling for that they should just apologize straight to the protesters that was arrested. So that demonstrates that what the police and the security agency demonstrated on June 12 is anti-democratic.
Okay, so talking about apologizing, are we saying that this particular act of arresting peaceful protesters, I'll use that word, can be, solved if after they're arrested, the security agents keep apologizing to them?
It goes beyond that, but that's the first step, is to let you know that they are saying that, look, we are law enforcers, but we are not an abuser of the law. So that is just a first step. We're going to see a shift from the almighty power abuse that we are used to. So people begin to see our law enforcers, law enforcement agency in a different light. That, come on, a law officer apologizes to a civilian. So that begins to give us a paradigm shift in the entire democratic process that we are looking at. Because that's just the first way. Because don't forget that the court is on strike.
Yeah.
So where do I go as an ordinary man if I'm even arrested? So if it was a good thing that they were released, but if they were not released, that would have been a total abuse on the fundamental rights of the protesters.
Okay, so we got a statistics and we found out that 84% of Nigerians believe that democracy as a whole is important, right, in this country.
Yes.
While 69% of Nigerians believe that Nigeria as a country is not democratic enough. The youths are not able to express themselves effectively. Now, if you agree with me, we know that most of the leaders we have in power, started to do things at about 28 years upwards. That was their youthful age. And the youth of Nigeria right now are threatened to carry out major things that they should do as they have been tagged the leaders of Nigeria of tomorrow. Now, what do you think we can do right as a country to bridge this gap that is being left, especially in terms of leadership and youths?
Well, I will still keep referring back to the NSAS. A big lesson has been learned there. What the youths need to do, we have discovered that with the present constitution we have, with the things that we have, we can only begin to affect change when we are part of the process. So as youths, we must begin to be part of it from the ward level, from the state level, so that then we should stop looking at the center for now. Because if we actually infiltrate through our local government, through our wards, through our states, then power begins to come to the youths. Decisions cannot be taken in your words, except that percentage of youths is taken into consideration, and that will lead to change.
Okay.
Because if we gather ourselves at that point, at that level, and as strong as we have shown through that NSAS, then there's a bigger shift. That percentage goes up as it goes. Either this generation likes it or not, this old generation is going to fade away. So eventually, power will go back to the youths. But you don't want to kill your youths before power is given to them.
Right.
So which is very important. So it is important for youths to get themselves involved from the scratch until we change something about the constitution. Let's be part of the ward process. Let's be part of the local government process. Let's be part of the state process. Before we begin to think about, if we change those things, the center will actually not be that juicy.
Okay, so you made reference to changing something in the Constitution. Let's digress a bit to Constitution review. The conversation has been on for weeks now. Some have called for an absolute overhaul of the Constitution, while some have said it should be reviewed and amended. In your opinion, what do you think should be done in regards to the 1999 Constitution?
Well, prior to my listening to a member of the National Assembly, I also was my opinion was that something needs to be done about the Constitution quickly. But getting an understanding that there is a provision that says that 75% of members of the House must actually support that there must be a new Constitution.
Yes.
So somebody must then present a bill for that to happen. So even though we are clamoring for a change, that means a bill must be presented. If we need a new constitution, a bill must be presented and must be supported by. But we should not just stop because of the garment amount of people needed for the change to happen. But at least let a bill be presented. Let us see how far it will go. Because that also tells us the mind of people that are leading us in the House. So if we need to change that, then let's present a bill. Let's not just say in the front of a newspaper. Let's not just say anything that we are agitating for. Let's send a bill through our representative to the House to say that we need this thing to be changed. And really, there is need to change the Constitution. Some aspects have said that the 1995 constitutional amendment that was done based on the 6th geopolitical zone is attractive to them, where presidency will have gone through the 6 zones in 30 years. So that is coming from some people. Some other people also says that jettison the entire constitution. How do you do that? How do you then continue to rule? My opinion, there is something wrong about that constitution. It's obvious. That's my opinion. But if you also look at it, fundamentally what I discovered as well is that are we fully even implemented 1999 Constitution? Or are we carrying out the 1999 Constitution the way it should be? Or it's being abused at the moment? But if you look at it, even from the presidential speech, you discover that the 1999 Constitution is not being fully implemented in itself. So that's even an aberration. So until we begin to practice what that Constitution even says in its entirety, do we begin to talk about change? Do we begin to talk about jettisoning it without even carrying out the basic things like respecting fundamental human rights, allowing the institution to play their role, not being autocratic in democracy, All these things are things that must be respected. Then we can look at the aspect of it that need to be changed. It is a fact that some part of the country has been marginalized. That must be recognized as well. We cannot deny that fact, but we cannot do that in front of a newspaper story. That thing has to, let's present a bill. If I'm aggrieved, if my region is a bill, let's talk to, let me go and meet my House of Representatives member and present and say, look, we want to present this bill. It's time for change. That is where it stands from. We cannot destroy the entire house because we want a change. What we have to do is that Nigeria needs renovation right now. And if we want to break it all down, then we won't get nowhere.
Okay, you've had quite an elaborate explanation on the Constitution review. But, you know, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that there were majorly 16 points that were stated that should be looked into when the Constitution is being amended. Now, if all of these 16 major points are not infused into the amendment of the Constitution, don't we see a back and forth coming into place again?
There will definitely be. The 16 points is not even addressing every ethnicity. Some will still feel aggrieved in the process. So, but it's a starting point. You realize that you feel that you will have taken care of, from that 16 point, from the last time I take a look at it, you discover that quite a number of issues was addressed, but unfortunately, we cannot address everybody's issue at once. It will be a gradual process. So let's just start from somewhere, but we have not even started. There is no bill in the House yet talking about a review of this Constitution. So everybody, we've been making noise, we've been talking on the newspaper, we've been having conferences, we've been having protests, but where is that bill that will start the change?
I believe that with this, people need to send a memoranda to that effect and ensure that it is looked into. Before I let you go this morning, quickly let's touch on the open grazing conversation. Now, we know that last month the Asaba resolution came up where they had a conversation majorly on restructuring and banning open grazing. And now, at that point, the Attorney General of the Federation made a comparison, which did not meet Nigerians well. And just this morning, we have report how the president in a speech stated that the Attorney General of the Federation, person of Abubakar Malami, he asked him to, you know, get the gazettes, cows gazette routes that will show the routes in which open grazing can take place in the country like it was done in the First Republic. What do you make of that particular decision? Honestly,
it's disheartening, but it has happened. Looking through that, when the country is so tensed, so unhappy, so terrorized, the speech was well-tailored, but the speech eventually led to another controversy. Raising up a gazette for rostering cows' roots. Come on, is this what is so paramount now? Is this what we need to do right now? That won't fly. Don't forget that the Land Use Act empowers the state governors to take decisions concerning their lands within their territory. So where is government going to start from? Why going back to that gazette? And since I have been schooled till now, I don't know if there is a stated clear-cut route where cows are to be taken through. But so that is not a way to go at all. The most important thing, that's what I'm talking about, the Constitution. Have we fully implemented it? The Constitution has said that the Land Use Act is there, clearly stating, let's follow what the laws that is guiding our country is even saying. That decision by the governor to say that we are banning open grazing, I think it's backed by the law, and it should stand. Let's just follow what is very, very comfortable that the whole world is turning towards, ranching. And I think that is where my opinion lies. The open gazette thing won't work. And I think that's a new controversy on itself. And we don't need that at the moment. What we need is, I expect something to come more suiting in that area when the president gave his speech. Unfortunately, it didn't come. We should listen to our president more without the speech. If you watch on other interviews that he had without any paper given to him, he spoke his heart. He spoke his mind. Those are the kind of things which we engage our president to do often, because you will hear his heart speak rather than he's being tailor-guided by a speech. The speech was nice. The speech gave some plus of what they have achieved. He also states some of the demerits of the things that they hope to have achieved, but they didn't get there to do. But he let out a bitter taste of a new controversy. A gazette for the roots of cow.
I'm sure that particular conversation on the Gazette on the root of cow is something that would, stir up. And with all that you've said, it all sums it down to a constitution review. All of these issues seem to be infused in the Constitution. And from that, I can understand that if major issues that are ongoing are looked into, particularly in the 1999 Constitution, will have, a change in major areas that we're looking at. Okay, on that note, we draw the curtain here on the conversation. Thank you so much, Henry Shoforora, for joining us on the review this morning.
Thank you.
All right, it's Newspaper Review on High Impact Television. We've taken a look at stories happening on the front pages of the paper. That we've come to a wrap on the review this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. You can also join us again at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. to get update of all of these stories and more stories on news around the globe. I am Sarah Owuswanta, and sure to have a fantastic Monday. Bye-bye.